Hi, this is Taylor Garcia, and this is Module 1 for EDL 851, Supervision and Evaluation of School Personnel. A little bit about me. I am from Goddard, Kansas. I graduated from Kansas State University in 2016 with my undergrad degree. I'm married to my husband, Daniel. We've been together for 12 years and married for 3 years. We have a baby boy, Emmett. He's 16 months old, and we love spending time with our families and vacationing together at Table Rock Lake. A little bit about my professional experience. I work in USD 259, which is Wichita Public Schools. I teach at Hyde Magnet Elementary School. I have been a first and a second grade teacher there. I've kind of bounced back and forth this year. I'm a first grade teacher. I am a building leadership team member. I'm in charge of our leadership events, so I'm coordinating all of the things that we host throughout the year. I'm the teacher in charge, so my building is a small building with one administrator. So if she ever needs any assistance, I'm kind of her go-to person. And then I am a part of a building or district leadership program called the Aspiring Building Leaders for Wichita Public Schools. So my analysis of the articles that we read, the first one, my main takeaway from this was that the tools that we evaluate teachers with, their professional development opportunities and the coaching that they're receiving is not consistent. And it hasn't been consistent throughout the years. So this is definitely an area for improvement. For the next article, all about teacher well-being. Teaching content and students being successful is very important, obviously, but we as leadership personnel need to consider the well-being of ourselves and the well-being of the teachers that we're leading. And I put the quote in here that I always have to remind myself of is that you cannot fill the cup of others from an empty cup. So we need to make sure we're taking care of ourselves so that we can take care of the teachers and the teachers can take care of the students, and it's kind of that trickle effect. For the next article, all about the leaders are the role models for how they handle their own mental health, how they respect the mental health of others, and they kind of set the tone for the climate in a building. The next article was all about teacher retention, and attrition rates are alarmingly high throughout the country. I knew that they were high, but not as high as what was presented in the article. And then to help diminish those things, they gave specific actions and things that we could do to help teachers, like finding ways to invest in them, investing in their success, and helping them build a profession to the commitment to the profession, excuse me. And finally, the last article that we reviewed, my big takeaway from this was that the feel of a work environment is going to determine if a staff wants to stay there. If it's a positive place where it is student focused and driven by wanting students to be successful, people are probably going to want to stay there. If it's a place full of negativity and pushback to different things, people aren't going to stick around for that. They're probably going to move on to the next opportunity. So my analysis for the area of improvement. So in order for us as leaders to empower and grow our teachers, we need to be consistent and we need to give them continuous improvement opportunities. And this should be the forefront of our mind. That is kind of our job as building leaders, is to grow the teachers that are going to keep that building going. It's not enough to just send them to a conference and hope, okay, there you go, you got some professional development. We need to go in, conduct those observations, give them constructive feedback on specific things they can work on, give them professional learning opportunities that's relevant to them, things that they can actually take back and implement into their classroom right away. And then after all of those things are said and done, helping them set goals, goals of what they would like to improve on, what you would like to see them improve on, finding a way to track them, and then celebrating their success with them. As for the topic of retention, I think in order for us to recruit and retain high quality educators, we need to invest in the new teachers. It doesn't mean being super encouraging at the beginning of the year and saying, okay, here you go, figure it out. We need to be consistent and we need to continuously work to build them up. There's a couple ways I think that this could be done from reading the sources that we were given, including giving them a mentor that's not a teacher, but a mentor that their job is to mentor new teachers and build them up and, observe them and give them feedback and things to work on, give them meaningful and useful, again, professional development, things that they can actually implement in their classroom, and be consistent in making a point to check in with them and see how they're doing and see what you can do to help them. Moving on to learning. So, just as students want their learning to be relevant to the real world, they always say, when are we going to use this in the real world? And if you can find a way to connect it, they're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Teachers are the same way. When you go to professional learning, it should be something that you can take back to the classroom and implement right away. Something that is going to help them with management, with handling behavior, with their instruction, with their engagement, with their rigor. All of those things kind of tie into it. So they don't want to walk away thinking, well, that's a really good idea, but it's not realistic. It's not something I can do with my kids. And finally, the topic of well being. We can't expect teachers, again, to pour into students if they're not in a good space. This has become a really popular topic. With what's going on in the world, and for good reason. And as a leader, I think one of the best ways to promote this well being and self care is to model what that looks like. So be respectful of boundaries, be respectful of time, and letting the teachers know that their work is important and they are also important as people themselves. So moving into my standard correlation for this module, I think it increased my content knowledge on school improvement, retention, professional learning, and well-being by giving me some specific actions and specific things that I can do to help achieve success in these areas in my school. For relevance, it was really relevant to my understanding of well-being of educators and students. I always knew that both were important, but there's been such an emphasis on student well-being that we kind of forget to think about ourselves. And it really encouraged me to think about, in a leadership role, thinking about the educators I'm working with and wanting them to have a good feeling of well-being so that they're better equipped to focus on student well-being. And one of the main things that I've witnessed in my own career, up as far as all these four topics, is teacher retention. I've been a part of a building where it wasn't a positive atmosphere. It wasn't great. And a lot of teachers were in and out. And then I've also been a part of a building with a strong sense of community, and our attrition rate has been very low. And a lot of teachers are there for a long time. And my final reflection, I think that this is going to influence me in the future in my leadership roles, because it's going to cause me to spend some time focusing on the staff I'm working with and their well-being, and their professional learning opportunities and their thoughts on staying and working towards whatever our mission is. I've been learning about this through my leadership program that I'm in right now, and it's been a really good opportunity for me to think about the relational piece of being a building leader rather than just focusing on the work that needs to be done, which both are important, but it's important first to put, the relational piece first, and building those relationships and building up the well-being of those around me so that we can all come together to work for our goal of having students be successful. And these are the references that I used for this module. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to working with everybody this